Hey, gang. Welcome back to Back When in Pagosa, Episode 2. My name's Lynn Johnson, and I work at Sherpa Real Estate. I'm an agent there. So let's get this started. At times in Pagosa, you feel pretty isolated. It's 8 hours to Phoenix. It's 5 hours to Denver, 4 hours drive time to Albuquerque, an hour to Durango. But when I imagine trying to get here in the 1800s, it seems virtually impossible. There were no roads. Wolf Creek Pass didn't exist. There were no railroads. There was a trail at best from Santa Fe. So getting into this mountainous country was kind of difficult. So back when traveling was on Indian footpaths that were developed with generations of Indians traveling through the mountains. And then next, keep in mind, there was expeditions, the Spanish expeditions that came through this country. And then trappers came. From the trappers, there were expeditions of surveyors that went through this country. Then, of course, settlers came, and then the military came. Now, that's how the trails and everything began to happen to come to Pagosa Springs. One of the routes originated out of Del Norte over the Continental Divide. It went from Del Norte to Summitville, and then from Summitville it went west, and then it came down the east fork of the San Juan, which is north of Pagosa Springs. Now, that trail worked well for pack mules, not so well for freight wagons, mainly because it was a very steep trail, and it also had a couple of cliffy spots in it, and they had to lower the wagons via ropes through the area. It was just an arduous trip and a lot of work to get that done. So with the fort, remember there's a fort in Pagosa, Fort Lewis. With that being here, the Congress in 1879 allocated $10,000 to develop the route that could bring military freight wagons from the San Luis Valley over the mountains to Pagosa Springs. Now, it all kind of was working together very well here. We have a road going to be built in 1879. We have the fort here. Seems like a great plan to allocate $10,000 to construct the wagon trail. But, you know, government being government, somebody didn't talk to somebody because they moved the fort from Fort Lewis Pagosa to Fort Lewis near Durango. But the road did start construction, and in 1879 and 1880, the troops, the Army stationed troops to help build the road, and there were private contractors that were building the road, and they stationed them at the top of Elwood Pass in a meadow that is named Government Park. And if you look on a topo map, you'll find Government Park up there today. And it's just in a little basin, again, north of Pagosa Springs. Now, not far from Elwood Pass and Government Park is Alberto Peak and Alberto Park. And I got to look at this one because I'll say it really weird. Shinzel Flats. Shinzel Flats is where A.J. Floyd up there in the meadow, and it was full of columbines and wildflowers. And it made such an impression on him that he wrote a song, and the song was Where the Columbines Grow, which just so happens to be the state of Colorado song. All right, so we're headed down Elwood Pass now. Let's back up here to episode 1. Remember, we had a big gun battle where the East Fork and the West Fork come together. One of the participants in the gun battle was Luis Montoya. And Luis Montoya named Alberto Peak and Alberto Park after his friend Albert Pfeiffer. Now, keep Albert Pfeiffer in mind because later on there's some stories that'll involve him. Over time, the spelling of Alberto Peak and Alberto Park was changed into Alberta Peak and Alberta Park. And that's where Wolf Creek Ski Area is located today. So next time you're at Wolf Creek Ski Area and you're up on the ridge and you're looking down into the East Fork of the San Juan, you can imagine wagons traveling down there, soldiers traveling through that area, trappers, and everybody's trying to make their destination of Pagosa Springs. One quote that came from a gentleman, John R. Curry, which was the editor of the Silverton newspaper at the time. He said, at Pagosa Springs, there are at present very slim hotel accommodations. It is certainly the best point for someone to locate and erect a hotel of 30 or 40 rooms that we know of in Southwest Colorado. So let's take that statement and fast forward it to today. If you think about it, in 1880, they're saying the same thing that we're saying today. Pagosa is a good place to be and invest in. This is Lynn Johnson and Holly Priestley. We both are agents at Sherpa Real Estate. Holly is the editor and producer of this. And welcome to episode 2 of Back When in Pagosa.